your head.
Sometimes I hear people talking about California, and I wonder, like, where are they getting this? Where are they getting this?
Well, Fox derangement. I mean, it's 24/7, the California derangement syndrome. It's through these propaganda networks, focusing on what's wrong every single day. And there's an old adage, you're nothing more than your consistent thoughts. Whatever you focus on, you find more of. And these networks have really honed in on California for one reason. Our success runs completely contra to their entire world view.
Scott, does Gavin Newsom think the mainstream media is against him? These networks?
Gavin Newsom attribute the current state of public sentiment to what he called the California derangement syndrome and attribute it to Fox. First of all, Fox hates Trump and didn't cover him when he was campaigning. Rupert Murdoch just handed it off to his kids. One of his kids is a big Obama supporter and theoretically Biden supporter. This is absurd. Who has the mainstream media and the legacy media behind them more than Gavin Newsom?
The fact that California is the fourth largest economy in the world, has more scientists, engineers, more Nobel laureates, the finest system of higher education, more venture capital than any other state in America.
We got the TMZ tour.
We got TMZ tours.
Not that we don't have problems, so we do have problems.
We have problems, but there's an energy and daring and an entrepreneurialism that defines
It's the best state. It is the best state.
It's the best state. California is the best state. Well, if California is the best state, Scott, why is it that people are leaving California?
Like me? You mean like my family and I?
Like you. So net migration, which is just the difference between the number of people moving into the state versus the number of people living the state. Net migration has, over the past 20 years, 25 years, been negative, generally, but particularly when you look at when Gavin Newsom took over in 2019 as governor. So he won election in 2018, took over as governor in 2019. Take a look at these numbers. This is data showing the breakdown by the level of education. So you've got in orange, those without a bachelor's degree, and in the blue, those with a bachelor's degree. So in both cases, starting in 2019, they fall below the zero, which means they're both negative on the net migration. More people are leaving, more of them are leaving than are coming into the state.
This is the brain drain they've been talking about,
This
right?
is the brain drain, but it happens in both educated and the non-educated. We see this across different metrics. This is the overall net migration. Again, 2019, kind of where my cursor is circling, you see this huge collapse in net migration after Gavin Newsom takes over. And we can see it in other dimensions as well. This is by age. So the 20 to 29-year-old group is in orange. And while they are much more resilient, they seem to be staying or moving in at a higher rate. Those people with a little experience and ability to leave are leaving. So if you're over 29, you're cutting loose from California. And you can see this, which is really important, by the income level. Orange is in high income, blue is in middle income, and that pea green is in lower income. And you see again, starting in 2019, it's a full-on collapse based on income level.
And part of the higher income level, Jeff, I would say half kiddingly, is because it's so darn expensive to live in California, you have to have a high income.
You do.
That's who's leaving.
And, it's also, this is part of it. It's also the most diverse state in the United States of America. 27% of this state's foreign-born. And that offends these guys. And, it's interesting. It's all state with universal health care. It's $25 minimum wage for healthcare workers, $20 minimum wage for fast food workers. Yes, it has a progressive tax code, but it's very different than the tax systems in places like Texas and Florida that tax their lowest wage earners more than we tax our highest wage earners. The question is, who is the high tax state?
Now, we do have problems.
He says it's the most diverse state and that offends these guys. No. Diversity doesn't offend us. What offends us is the sanctuary state, the illegal immigration that's flooding into the state. This is what people take exception to, not so much the diversity. Diversity's fine. Everybody welcomes it. But you got to go by the rules. You got to come in the right way. California has free health care. They've got huge problems with homelessness, And this is all part of what he's calling their diversity, right?
But that point he was making was about tax, and so the state can't have more taxes than it does. It has the highest taxes on fuel. It has some of the highest taxes on sales tax. The general sales tax is very high. It has high taxes on income. If you earn a decent income, taxed very highly. And even if you don't earn an income, it may be progressive taxation, but you're still being taxed. There's no way to escape tax in California. Property taxes are even pegged up against the constitutional limit wherever possible.
Yep.
And this is something that every governor, every mayor comes in and says, this is what I'm going to work on. This is number one. And it seems like, is this an unsolvable problem?
No, it's solvable. This year we did something we hadn't done in 15 years. And that is we saw close to a double-digit decline in unsheltered homeless. That had not happened in the state of California, down 9%. That's progress. We're finally seeing real progress. We're finally seeing it. But Jimmy, this is important to know. As a former mayor, the state of California, when I was mayor, the state was not involved in homeless policies. It completely abandoned the cities and counties. We were on our own. That's radically changed since I've gotten there. We've taken responsibility, accountability. We're moving aggressively with the most significant mental health reforms and investments in U.S. history. Same with housing. We're focusing on encampments. And we're finally, it's a flywheel, all these years later, finally seeing real progress. At the same time, and you saw this last year with the numbers nationally, it went up 18.13% nationally. But California finally on the other side seen real progress.
I just noticed he slid in the term unsheltered homeless. So he has modified the term homeless to somehow he has softened the statistic.
It's not him. That's actually that's a commonly used term among those who collect this data and categorize it. It's a term of art in the industry.
But I would imagine there's
in fact, it's right here. We can see it in the breakdown here. It's just in the data. So,
but look, you got sheltered homeless and unsheltered homeless. You got two different statistics, two different categories.
Yep. So the thing that he talked about was the fact that the rate of change for the United States is 18.1%, and it's very high, and that's bad that it's moving up in that sort of direction. But he didn't mention that California was still growing, right? The change was still a 3.1% increase in California. But what his numbers don't reflect, talking about rates, is in absolute levels. So in California, 181,400 homeless people live there. But in the United States, there are only 653,104 homeless people. So the state of California constitutes about 28% of all the homeless in the entire country. Now, I get that the weather's nice, but it is a huge problem given the fact that California's population only constitutes 11% of the overall population of the United States.
Crazy. So more than a quarter of the homeless in the whole country are in one place.
Correct.
California. Unbelievable.
California. Not to be proud of that.
1-3. That's really something. You're really getting into the double.
Well, I mean, it's an exact number, but I mean, it's I'm political.
Oh wait, Jeff. By the way, one more thing. You notice? I'm sorry. He said after 15 years, he tries to say almost a double digit. He's 9%, increase in sheltered homeless. And unsheltered homeless, and finding in abatement of homeless people. It took 15 years, and he's got 9%, and this is an accomplishment. Are you kidding me? California has spent almost $500 billion, $500 billion. We've got another slide we're going to bring up in a second, but the audacity, he is parading around town bragging about 15 years, 9% reduction. We've got, once again, 1/4 of the homeless people in the whole country in California. 9% isn't moving the needle.
But
why does it take so long to get things built here? I feel like, is California overregulated? Because it feels like there are a lot of well-meaning laws, rules, etc., that get in the way of building your house, of opening a restaurant. I've experienced this myself. What do we do about that?
No, we need a liberalism that builds, and we have to own that. And I'm very much part of this sort of new nomenclature. We call this abundance agenda, and we've got to reconcile that. We've got to be more
That abundance agenda.
What did he just say?
Yeah,
Nomenclature.
A liberal. It's a liberal abundance agenda, and that's an
Liberalism.
abundance of taxes, abundance of regulations, abundance of bureaucracy,
Abundance
fraud,
of
waste,
homelessness.
abuse, grift.
Abundance
That's
of
what there's an
homelessness.
abundance of.
Yeah.
Abundance agenda.
Focus on time to delivery. Not just rhetoric, not just what we're for, we got to actually deliver and manifest it. That's why this year we did the most significant housing reforms in our state's history. We did something that hadn't been done in decades. We've tried to address land use reforms, what we call secret reforms. We weren't able to get it done. We finally were able to get it done this year.
You know what? Wait, Jeff, you know what that is? That's code for they reduced environmental impact, which was so onerous, nobody could build anything. All this stuff about soil samples and runoff. And look, nobody's for, bastardizing the environment.
Tell us about the cost of building things in California.
I mean, I do know we did it.
No. Tell us about this particular thing.
Oh, right here. Yeah, this was a big story when I lived in California with my family for 20 years, and it was cool till it wasn't. It just got out of control. And this is a classic example where you're reading about California spending $800,000 on a single unit for a homeless per unit for a small number of homeless people. So they spent $800,000 to build homeless people condominiums. It seems like the punchline to a joke, doesn't it? Does it seem real? Does it? I don't understand how they think that's obviously not scalable. There's no affordability factor there. That doesn't work. And of course, who's paying the $800,000? Me, my wife, my kids, us,
everybody who can pay the $800,000, except we just saw in the earlier data, they are leaving. Notwithstanding all the great accomplishments of Gavin Newsom since 2019, people are leaving, and they're leaving en masse.
And currently there's a whole film production thing going on too of all the people leaving that used to work in the film business because you can't shoot anything.
I think his successes ought to be reconsidered or at least pulled back a little bit. Hey, thank you for joining us again. This is Noble Theory Podcast. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe, leave a comment at the bottom. Let us know what you think about Gavin Newsom's self-glazing going on here with Jimmy Kimmel.
See you next time, Jeff. Thanks, buddy.